Russell, aka filmmaker Dean. To some, I'm part of the I guess Mo Phillips tribe, the Masterpiece tribe, and I love hearing about self-help and whatnot. I'm all about the health and wellness fam and stuff like that, and that's one of the main reasons I'm here. That's been my journey the past couple of years and whatnot, getting into self-care, stuff like that. So again, mental wellness, that's a priority now by any means necessary in 2022 for me.
Come on, Dean. Dean, listen, he always shouting out the positivity. Like, he always shouting it out. And we want to thank Dean, because Dean was actually one of our sponsors for the Survivors Ball, which was community-based, basically. Okay, any brave soul want to jump in next from the squad or outside of the squad? We all squad right now. I see the person that's, I was just going to say, I see the person that's named Tracy Stanton. I see your mouth. I see you ready. You got the glasses on. You came, okay.
Stephanie Murray. I'm here in Cincinnati, Ohio. I was unable to attend the Survivors Ball, but Mo Poetry was gracious enough to invite me to this event. So I'm here for that reason, number one, because she extended the invitation. And I am always looking to connect with like-minded individuals. When I saw the agenda, I was excited, because we are all survivors of something. We are all, if we haven't healed from something, we need healing. So that is why I'm here.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Mo, could you change her name? That's possible. Okay, next brave soul.
Hey everybody, my name is Yolanda Barnes, but everybody calls me Yogi with 2 eyes. I'm coming to you from Fayetteville, North Carolina. I know the one and only Ed Mabry, the great, the GOAT. And I'm part of the Soul Fried family as well. So I'm excited to be here, just to learn, just to tap into something within me that maybe hasn't been touched yet, and see what comes out of that.
Thank you, Yogi. Thank you, Yogi. If you want to only Ed Mabry, I stick in that notion. And next brave soul.
Hi, I'm Tamala Lucas. I'm here because I love my Mo Poetry. Before I met her in person, I heard her name. I said, "Who is this Mo Poetry? Where's she at?" And it was funny how we met in person, because I went to the Women's of Writing, and I went there and sat there. And let me tell you about God. We sat right next to each other. I didn't know who she was. We sat right next to each other, and they said, "Okay, get a partner." And when she said her name, I almost had tears, but hey. Because when you hear somebody's face that you actually see them in person, it's like, wow. So I try to support her in everything she do, because I like real people. I like honest people. I like people that's going to say what they're going to say. Like, being a Christian, oh, well, a lot of people say, well, what you say about people who, same sex and all stuff? Be you. Be honest. Be you. Don't lie. You hear me? You know what I'm saying? Don't marry somebody and you like the same sex. Don't do that. Don't hurt somebody's feelings. Be you. If you're gonna be gay. But don't start a family and mess the family up and mess everybody up. Just be you. And I'd rather you be real with yourself. You know what I'm saying? So I like Mo Poetry, because the words be like, chop, 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 chop. I'm like, come on, girl, say that. Be yourself. So I like this. I love when I come, and I try my best to support you when I can, because when all of y'all talking, oh my God, the word, oh my goodness, I just love it. So I'm just here to support. I'm glad for the invite, and thank you all.
Thank you so much, Tamala. Thank you so much, Ms. Tamala. Does anybody else want to go ahead and introduce themselves? And for anybody that just jumped in, we are recording this. Zoom right now. So I just wanted to let Anthony and anybody else know that just jumped in. Anybody else want to step on up and introduce themselves?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is David. My poetry name is Diamond Cutter. I was the male recipient of the Survivor of the Year Award.
Yeah.
And I came on to show some support and offer a little bit of input about what's going on with me. At this point in time, I'm living my best life. Engaged, have my daughter with me. So I'm living life like it's golden.
Right. That's right. Come on, DC. Okay. Next person.
Hi, I'm April Mallory. I saw somebody else. I'm sorry. I'm April Mallory, and Mo Poetry invited me to come to be a participant here. I missed the Survivors Ball because of my schedule changes, but I've come here to try to learn something more than what I've already experienced. I've learned some healing, but maybe if there's more that you can offer here, everybody, whatever you can offer, I'm willing to accept it or see what else I can learn. That's it.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for being proactive in your own healing process and for joining us in this journey. Okay, anybody else? I mean, the next person that wants to go ahead and introduce themselves.
So I'm
And could anybody that's not speaking, please press mute.
There's someone up in the cabinet.
Amber used to make the best salads with a head of lettuce.
Mo, could you mute the person that's named Tracy Stanton?
Cheese.
It's not me.
Hey,
Can you mute Miss Shanita as well? Thank you so much. All right, Anthony, Mr. Coach Tony. Yes, can we help? You're on mute, Tony.
So good, yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Anthony Townsend, everybody called me Coach Tony, everywhere. Man, I've been looking forward to this since probably before the Survivors Ball, right? I know how much me and Tracy had talked, and I know how much she put into this presentation. I know what kind of passion and transparency she delivers. So I was super excited about it. Man, and when it got pushed out to today virtually, I was like, I ain't sure it's gonna be the same thing. But then I said, you know what? I trust my sis gonna deliver. Whether it's in person, whether it's 2 people or 2,000. So glad I'm here, and I can't wait to see what I walk away with.
Thank you so much, Coach Tony. I appreciate you. You know, I just told you that the other day, man. I just appreciate all that you are, all that you represent, and the investment that you put not only into yourself, but people around you, you know what I'm saying, your community and everything else that you touch. So I really, really thank you for that. And thank you for speaking life into me and for coming all the way to Cincinnati, you know what I'm saying, with your girl. Like it's just beautiful. I appreciate you. All right, do we have anybody? Yes, I know we do, because I know Kimberly didn't say anything. So anybody else in Soul? I'll be waiting.
Hi, I'm Kimberly Ryan from Cincinnati, and when I first met Tracy, she was a blessing to me within minutes of meeting her, and so I really was looking forward to this workshop, so I'm glad that she's giving it today.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, so did you introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. My name is Playback McCray. I am so glad to be here. I've been hooked since the first Artsville. I'm so inspired by people telling their stories and the courage it takes to speak. I think that is amazing, and I am grateful.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And last but definitely not least, so I believe you're the last one.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had to go out and go back in. Hey everyone. First name basis Stephen. I'm with the Mo Poetry Tribe. Survivors Ball was amazing, and I learned a lot. Some stuff that hurt, but it was necessary hurt to get where I'm going. So I'm excited about what this topic is. Honestly, I'm going in blind. I just pulled up the transcript. I don't know what I'm reading, even though I have a physical copy of the transcript that she was going to do, but time just did not happen. I said, you need to do this online if we can't do it today. And I'm happy that it happened. So I know she's going to deliver. I love her spirit. I know her energy is going to be true. I know it's going to be firing. She's going to make you laugh. She's going to make you cry. She's going to make you feel all those things. So I'm here for it. I'm ready for it.
Thank you. Oh, man, listen, just everybody's responses and the reason why they decided to tune in today already has my energy just all over the place. I come in with vivacious, vulnerable, intentional, very intentional energy, clean space, in head, in heart, incense, frankincense going, because I believe, I'm a firm believer that anytime you have an interaction with anybody, that for me, it is my intention that that person leaves differently, right? I want to make sure that I make an impact every single time that I'm in the presence, or God allows me to be in the presence of anybody or anything. I want them to leave differently. So, of course, I'm going to introduce myself and we're going to get into all of that good stuff. But before we go into that, I always like to open up space with a quote. I'm also a restorative justice practitioner, where I'm training. I'm almost there, but in a circle process, which is kind of like what we're doing right now in community with each other. And we're going to be talking about things that may tap into different traumas and things like that. So we always want to open up the space, right? And always want to close the space out. And so I want to open up with a quote about this communal healing and the power that happens in numbers. Because when we experience shame and trauma and things like that in our lives, it puts us in isolation, right? And it takes us away from the community. So when we come back into community and we're able to share those lived experiences with each other and find that relatability and those commonalities, it makes us feel like we're not alone in that struggle. So the quote that I want to open up with, it says, in every community, there is work to be done. In every nation, there are wounds to heal. And in every heart, there is the power to do so. And that is by Miriam Williamson, that quote. Miriam has a lot of quotes that I recite to myself every day, because I'm a firm believer in speaking life into yourself. I'm a firm believer in mantras and retraining your subconscious, and we'll get into that as well. And so when we're talking about, like, in every heart, there is a power to be done. There's a power to do it. And we're also talking about survivors, right? And what is a survivor? Someone who has survived something, especially a person that remains alive after an event in which someone else could have died. And when we think about, like, really remaining alive after an event and death, we're not always talking about a physical death, right? Because after we experience things that happen in our lives, traumatic experiences, loss, grief, we are no longer the same person that we were before that incident happened. And if you think about the majority of times, statistics say that majority of individuals reach having experiences with trauma by the age of 5 years old. And we live with that trauma until our early adulthood, when we finally start addressing it and seeing how it's playing a part of our lives. So if you are here today, you have survived. It means that you are a survivor. I allow people to self-identify how they would like to. Some people still say, that they're a victim of what happens to them. And if that you are in that state, you haven't transformed or transitioned into the state to where you are identifying yourself as a survivor, I will tell you that it's power in that, but I will also allow you to have your process, right? And speaking of process, whenever I go into a space, I also want to open up the space with some community agreements, because when we are in community with each other, there is a grounding that happens when we agree on how this space should be. Too often we come into meetings and people have rules already set there, but you don't know how these rules are going to affect me. Some of us are introverts, some of us are extroverts. So it can make a person retreat if you say it's mandatory that you speak up, right? What does that do to somebody who has been silenced and who has had a fear, or who has a blockage because when they were adolescent, they used to speak up and they were abused for it. So when we come into a space, I always want to set some community agreements, and I want us all as a community to either agree with these community agreements that I have set, and then possibly add in anything, or we can make some alterations. So it's trust the process, right? And when we're talking about process is a series of events that it takes to reach an end result. And when we're thinking about the process, we're not just thinking about the process that's going to take place here today, but I want you to trust the process in your own life as it relates to your healing journey, as it relates to where you are now and where you envision yourself going in the future. I want you to trust the process. And the P is an acronym for participate. That means participate in this event right here today, but participate in your own healing journey. What do you need to do? What do you need to incorporate in your life? What do you need to release? What do you need to let go? What do you need to put in? What input do you need to have? What output do you need to have in order to participate and be really, really, really engaged in, well, engaged is later, but be really, really engaged your life on a consistent basis throughout the day. And R is respect. And in this space, we may share out and have a opposition to something that someone says, and all too often we personalize those things. If someone says something that may impact us in a way where now we are stimulated and our emotions are awry, and we feel as if we have been personally attacked. But really, that is our trauma showing back up, because trauma, we talk about it now, but our traumatic responses really start as a survival mechanism to protect ourselves. So I want us to be able to respect each other in this space and understand that the person is communicating, they're coming from their own lived experiences, and we cannot negate that, right? Because that belongs to them. And the O is to be open-minded. Be open-minded, be open to the new information that you may hear. A lot of things are subjective, a lot of things are researched, and even with research, right? Google here nowadays, you got these people that are researching through this lens and these people that are researching through this lens. So if it don't apply, let it fly. But I suggest that we all come with an open mind and an even open heart. And C is confidentiality. We know that hearing something that you have shared, especially when you have been brave and you have built up the courage to finally share that thing out, and you hear it outside of the space that you have shared it in, it could be debilitating, it could be paralyzing, it can even cause that emotional death that I talked about earlier, and it will make you retreat and not want to come back out of that shell again. So please, anything that anyone says in this space, confidentiality is paramount. And then engage is a little bit different than engage or embrace. And when I think about the word embrace, right? And so different than when you just actually like touch something. And we're talking about yourself right now. I'm talking about embrace a new you, but I'm also speaking about embrace everyone else in this space. And that's different than just going in and tapping it a little bit, like, hey, but no, think about the way that you embrace someone that you love. Right? Think about the way that you embrace a child, your grandmother. Think about the way that you embrace somebody that you have not seen in years. You finally get to see them and hold them and inhale their scent. And it's a totally different level of intimacy when you embrace someone. So I want you to really put your mind in the state where you're going to embrace new aspects of yourself right now. And you're going to embrace everyone else that had the courage and to come into this space right now today. And then S is share space. That's it, right? Share space. We're here together. Nobody's here by mistake, I don't believe. There was a series of events that had to take place for you to get here. And on a Sunday afternoon, when most people was like cleaning their house, getting meal prepping, getting ready for the week, thinking about Monday, all of that type of stuff. And you're here for that reason. And then S is just, it is silent cell phones. We're not on. I hope nobody's phone go off, but I would just say, since we're on Zoom, make sure that you keep your Zoom on mute. So silence your Zoom if you're not speaking, and especially if someone else is speaking, because again, and we actually went through this at the Survivors Ball when the psalmist Don really talked about sound and how sounds really affect us, and how they are waves of energies that flow through us. And then once we are interpreting that through our neuroreceptors, and it stimulates something else in our body, it can really alarm us, and again take us to a state that we don't want to be in. So especially if someone is in the midst of sharing something very intimate. So that is the very beginning. I'm going to go into my own introduction. So I am Tracy T-Spirit Stanton. I am T-Spirit of my tagline. T-Spirit, a free spirit. And when I share my gift, my goal is that your soul can hear it. I just did a workshop yesterday. Amazing workshop. About 30 women came out, and it was called She Speaks. But the tagline that I use, free spirit, starting with, what is the spirit? The animating vital principle that gives organisms life, right? And we all, the one commonality that we all possess, no matter race, identity, creed, religion, lack of religion, no matter what, anything else that we experience in life, having finances going up, all of that, or not having them. All of those things contribute to the person that we are. But one commonality that we share is a spirit and a soul, right? That's gonna be present before us and after us. So, and when I say free, I mean no longer under the restriction of things outside of myself. And I'm not just talking about physical prison, because I have been there too. My DOC number is 1164207. But I am speaking about just no longer being imprisoned by my own thoughts, emotions, and feelings. Like, once I was able to learn how to regulate my emotions at times when I was being stimulated and I was having an emotional spiral, once I learned how to not be so compulsive and just act instead of thinking and taking a pause in between those things, that's when I really tapped into my own freedom. And that was inside, that was before I actually got physically free from a prison. And then when I shared my gift, and when you share anything, so I'm T-Spirit, a free spirit. When I share my gift, my goal is that your soul be hearing and sharing, literally giving a portion of yourself to someone, right? And this, when you share something with someone, we can be talking about a thing, but in this space, I'm talking about literally giving a portion of me every time I get on a stage. Ed actually was the one, I saw him all the time. When he got off the stage, he didn't really stop. People would try to stop him, but he would go straight to the back and take a seat in the back, because the energy that you're exuding, the soul that is leaving your body, you are going deep down into vulnerability and letting the God flow through you. And you're now open to all of the energies that you're receiving from all of the external forces and everybody else that's in the room. So when you share something, an interaction, a conversation, for me, it's something not to be taken lightly. It's something to be cherished and nurtured. And then, when I share my gift, my goal is that your soul be here. The objective is that you listen with your heart, you listen with your soul. So I created this workshop. I have a book called Some Things Must Be Heard. But I created this workshop, and actually my whole now brand is built off of these things, because in my healing process, and I'll get to how that actually started, but in my healing process, when I came home from prison in 2017, when I was just 7 months clean from alcohol, from crack, from heroin, which I used from the time that I was 35 until I was 33 until the time I was 35. But I actually used drugs or anything outside of myself to cope with reality since I was 12 years old. And what led me to that life was all of the intense, complex, acute, chronic, and complex traumas that I had experienced by the time I was 12 years old. So at 7 years old, I witnessed my brother deceased. He was stretched out in the bathroom from the tub to a old washing machine. If you don't remember, I don't know if y'all remember those old washing machines where you had to put the clothes through the wringer and wring them out for them to rinse out and dry. But that was my first traumatic experience. And also growing up in a neighborhood where violence was rampant, where resources were scarce. So scarcity mindset, a mindset of lack I had all my life. That's something I'm still reminding myself consistently on a daily basis, that life is abundant, resources are abundant, you're not in need, you have everything that you need. And if you don't have it, you have the connections and the capability to go get those things. All of these things is a learning process and a practice to do consistently on an everyday basis. After that, my father was addicted to crack. My mother and my father was in an abusive relationship. After that, after my brother died, the family dynamic was just strange. We split up. My mother had a mental breakdown. I stayed with my mother, and then I experienced housing insecurity. So all of these different things that happened right after witnessing my brother never having any type of resources. Therapy was not talked about in Black homes. Therapy was not accessible in the communities that I was in. And then on top of that, I ended up having to move in with my father, who ended up molesting me, and my mother died at the age of 10. So at the age of 12, I started using drugs as a means to escape my reality. And I did that for the next 23 years. Although I was always in gifted schools, I always was the head of my class. I always had the ability to captivate a room and be charismatic, but on the inside, I was a shaky, scared, afraid, fragile little girl that never hear. I can't recall anyone telling me growing up that they loved me or anything like that, right? So I did things against my own will that I did not want to do. And that is why I have the ability to have grace and mercy on individuals now in the work that I do as a healing support specialist, as someone that works with people in recovery and formerly incarcerated individuals, as a nationally recognized community organizer, a well-being coach, a poet that does these workshops. I started writing at the age of 12 to be able to release. I didn't know even what emotions were or what effective communication was. I did not know how to open my mouth and say anything about what was happening to me. Honestly, I didn't think anybody cared. On top of that, I had a very, very severed relationship with my own identity. Earlier, Dean said something that was very, very powerful for you all that didn't get, that wasn't here. He said that the youngsters today are having an identity crisis. And if you just think about our upbringing and the fact that a majority of us have had severed family dynamics, and our parents didn't know their parents, and we don't know our lineage. It's so deeper than having a self-identity complex, but also adapting a visualization of yourself that society puts on you. So your concept of self, and I would definitely suggest that people are taking notes prior to us getting like a little bit deeper, because there's a lot of information that I'm going to be giving you all before we actually get into the writing exercise of this workshop. So your self-concept is made up of 3 things, right? It's made up of your self-image, how you view yourself and value yourself. And it's also made up of your ideal self, right? How you envision yourself to be, and all of that equates to your level of self-esteem. And so if your ideal self, right, the person that you envision doesn't match up with your self-image, then that's incongruent, and now you're constantly going to be seeking to be somebody that you're not. So imagine the little dark-skinned girl with what I would call good hair now, but then was nappy hair growing up and never wanting to be myself. So I already had a complex with who I was at a very young age, on top of all of the trauma that I experienced, on top of scarcity, lack, and all of those various things. So boom, that's a little bit about me. Very deep introduction. So I did the drugs, I did the things. In the midst of me doing the drugs, I actually was a survival sex worker. I think Saul or Anthony talked about my level of transparency. When I first started being transparent, it had nothing to do with me wanting to heal people. It had nothing to do with me wanting to get on a mic and tell my story and tell my business. I remember in the earliest stages of my recovery, when I first came home from prison, I remember going somewhere where somebody was telling their story, and I was like, I would never get up and tell those people all of that stuff that I did when I was out there in active addiction, when I was being controlled and under the grips of something outside of myself, from a higher power, but it wasn't the higher power that I'm tapped into right now, right? I a lot of times, even with or without the drugs, we conform and we do things that spiritually and inside, deep inside of our soul, we know we don't want to do, but for the sake of like me, love me, don't leave me, I want to fit in, I want to feel loved, we do those things. And it's like, how do we start prioritizing who we want to be and who we know ourselves to be, and also acquiring the tools to stop, take a moment of self-reflection, and then move forward with making a new decision, right? So we're going to talk about, I chose a topic, some things must be heard, because in order for them to be heard, first you have to say them. And in my healing journey and in my healing process, when I came home after 23 years of using drugs and me not doing anything, I had nothing else to cope with. Now it was me versus me. Like people like, oh, it's me versus me. It was me versus me. I had all of these influx of emotions and feelings, and this feeling of impending doom. I didn't know where it was coming from because I had suffocated those aspects of myself for so long, right? So that's when I'm sorry. Well, that's when I started to really get into telling myself, talking to myself, and really sorting through a lot of the confusion in my life. And I use poetry as a catalyst for personal change, interpersonal change, and also societal change. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into this poem that I wrote one day when I was just crying. I was in the mirror. I was doing altar work. And if anybody doesn't know what mirror work is, it's literally when you are just naked and all of your everything, scars, bruises, wounds, and you're looking in the mirror and you're just really building this intimate relationship with yourself, and you're finding out who you are. And in this mirror, I wrote this poem. And I'm going to recite the poem, and then afterwards we're going to revisit the poem, and I'm going to break down some of the words in the poem and how you all can use these specific words and adapt them, some of the tools and strategies to your life to incorporate with your process of healing, restoration, and repair, and repairing the harm that has happened to you, but also repairing the relationship that you will hope to have with yourself. If that's cool, Let me see, a thumbs up, a high, a wave, something. All cameras, majority of cameras off. That's cool too. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get into the piece. And it says, I was looking in the mirror, right? And I was like, well, I was writing in the mirror this time before I actually performed it, but it says, I stand in this pose. I stand in this pose to dispose self-defeating thoughts and reload mantras to retrain my subconscious, because I forfeited the cost to be the boss of my thoughts, which had my esteem at a loss for years, and I ain't cured, but I'm here with healing tears in remission. And daily I'm on a mission to remember that my gift was gifted through my pain. So I pay attention to the affirmations positioned on the postcards on my walls, see my flaws or my strengths, and I acquired them in the trenches, attempted to let go of entrenchments so my spirit can enrich. Meant I must accept all of me, and the facts be, I laid on my back searching for love long before I walked the Holding track. But I'm done holding me back. I'm honing all of me, owning all of me, because secrets keep you sick, and I always sought a quick fix to combat the inner chatter. Daily it's an inner battle, always felt like I didn't matter, fucked up in the head like a mad hatter. Now I'm able to tell little Tracy with compassion that I ain't mad at her. I offer her some forgiveness, and being in that prison allowed time for reflection. I'm talking 1164 2007, my DOC number. I got humbled through humiliation. I jumped in the jungle for affiliation, but it was all needed to proceed to reconciliation of self. Health is wealth, and I was poor. Knocking on any door, no precedent needed to enter me. As long as he was into me or a body and treated myself like a hobby, gave me the strength to transmit celibate to being celibate. So I guess it made the hoeing days relevant. Now I'm referenced as elegant, heaven sent, and it's evident that my scars are beauty marks. I'm in broken souls and empty hearts, a matriarch, embrace all my parts. So I guess my stretch marks are simply arts. They events the length in which I can go and snap back even better than before. See, I be in a trance sitting. And the breath in the meditation is my medication, assisting me in this transition, transmitting, reprogramming, demanding a new perception of me, since I've been blessed with a new perspective of me. See that reflection I see, that bronze skin that was once representation, the third place is now being replaced with that of a wind, and then melanin is being salt bought. They're trying to figure out the cost so they can melt it in. I'm attuned with the various rooms of my mind. No need to divide, unite the world with our verses. I am worthy, you are worthy, we are worth it. And I'm content just knowing that you would make it. So I stand in this pose so that you would be comfortable being naked. So what we're going to do now before we go into the writing activity, if you have access to your if you have access to the document or to the documents that I sent out, that's cool. You'll see that there is a word bank. I poured out some of the most impactful words and some of the words that I also am going to penetrate a little bit more to give you a little bit more context with those words, and also give you some information that you can utilize in your own process. And then we'll do an activity where we'll actually take some time to write, right? And there are a few questions at the bottom if you're a poet, using these prompts at the end to write a poem, but I want to task everybody with actually using some of the words from the word bank to answer the questions, and we'll review that in a second. But first, I want to just talk about like poetry, right? And how poetry is such a magnificent way to be able to express yourself. And so poetry is also a literature that evokes a concentrated, imaginative awareness of an experience or a specific emotional response through language chosen and arranged, but it's also a quality of beauty and intensity of emotion. And also there was a quote by Robert Frost that says, poetry is when an emotion has found its thought and the thought has found its words. And so having the ability to write those things and get it out, it actually unlocks a part of your subconscious mind. And poetry actually has been proven to provide comfort and boost moods during periods of stress. trauma, and grief. And they also call poetry because it stimulates your emotional brain, which is how you ascribe meaning to an event. So the reason why poetry affects people in such a magnitude, in such a great way, is because it's actually it's tapping into your limbic system, and that's your emotional brain. So the imagery is providing you with pictures of things that you're seeing right now, but also things that you have saw in the past. So first I want to talk about, when we're talking about our healing processes, right? And our healing journey. And we're talking about the way that we allow our thoughts to overpower us and create bad internal health, that we allow our thoughts to have mental derailments of thoughts, and that incorporates or it makes you experience emotional spirals, and how this negative self-thought happens so consistently. And being able to redirect our thoughts is so paramount in this healing process, because especially after we have experienced these different traumatic things, and we have these people that have been telling us things about ourselves, we have society that has been telling us things about ourselves, it is our right and our duty, and it is mandatory for us to be able to get that information and transmute it and redirect it. So in the beginning, when it says, I stand in this pose to dispose, right? Self-defeating thoughts. What I want us to think about is when you dispose something, you get rid of it, right? You throw it away. As definitely as it relates to self-defeating thoughts, and this is something that we always have. A lot of people say, I just want to, when they talk about thoughts, they talk about shifting your mindset. A lot of times you don't have control over your thoughts. A lot of your thoughts are involuntary. They come when they want to. They come when some type of sensory has been stimulated. So whether you see something, whether you hear something, whether you smell something, and then there goes the thought. So it's not the thought that you can necessarily control, but you can control how you redirect that thought. Right? And this is the first thing that I want to give you, a technique, and it's a cognitive behavioral therapy technique, that is used in therapy, but also research has shown that you can use self-directed therapy, meaning that these are techniques, and it's okay for me to give them to you, and okay for you to use them. It's something very simple when it comes to self-defeating thoughts, and you can research this on your own. But the effectiveness of this, and it's called the 3 C's. Very simple. Catch it, check it, change it. Once you have that thought and you realize you're listening to your body and it's physiologically having a response, you're getting stimulated, you're starting to feel these vibratory sensations just permeating through your whole being, and now you feel uneasy, you feel restless in that moment. You need to catch it. You need to check it, right? What is going on? Where did this thought come from? Is this real? Is this a reality? Or is this something that has been psychologically embedded into my brain, and now it's just recurring right now? And you need to assess it, right? I have another workshop that says, I love me, an acronym for I listen, I observe, and I verify, right? I verify, is this true or false? Is this true or false? No, Tracy, that's not true. You are capable. I go into rooms, I don't have a degree, but I have a lot of information, lived experience as well experience that I have acquired over the years to study a lot, right? But I'll go into these rooms where people have doctorate degrees. Now, mind you, they even invited me into the room. They invited me to the room because they want to hear what I want to say. But Tracy, little Tracy, the one that didn't get picked at school, the one where the little girls, everyone came around Christmas time, and they gave me, I thought they were all coming to give me a gift, and they gave me a whole big old bag of hygienes as a big old prank. And that little Tracy, right, still shows up and feels inadequate at times. And I have to redirect my thoughts and tell her, you are fucking worthy, Tracy. You are supposed to be here. As a matter of fact, the people paying you to be here, they pay you to be here, and they paying to get the information from you. But we can't control the way that our thoughts come, but we can control how we redirect them. So catch it, check it, change it is a technique that I suggest everybody use. They even have worksheets for you to be able to consistently do this on a consistent basis. Because one thing about finding ourselves and learning ourselves on a very intimate, deeper level, and have an increased level of self-awareness is I track my thoughts consistently throughout the day. Then I'm able to see my own patterns, and I'm able to identify what stimulates me, what type of situations stimulate me the most, right? And what I came to identify, sometimes it's going into those rooms, sometimes it's writing a paper, something like that. It's imperative that we learn that about ourselves. And so disposing self-defeating thoughts. And what are self-defeating thoughts, right? They are thoughts that are automatic. They are thoughts that are habitual, and they lie slowly below our subconscious. They don't mean us any good. and they happen and they're going to occur. And the thought of just we're going to avoid them, that is not going to do anything for us as it relates to us being able to increase our level of awareness, our level of what's going on, or to improve our overall well-being. So you identify them, they're here, they're present. Okay, guess what? This is not something, I'm not going to give you no energy. I'm going to assess you, evaluate you, and then I'm going to do something different, right? And so then the next place, I dispose self-defeating thoughts and reload mantras. How important is it in your healing journey to have mantras in your life? Now, some people are not privy to the information about this term, or because it has been associated with different things, and a lot of times we want to disassociate ourselves with it. And remember, I asked you all to come into this space and be very open-minded. So mantras are just repetitive words that you tell yourself, right? And in the Bible, they say speaking things into life, speaking into existence, there's power and death of the tongue, all of those various things. So when you actually chant mantras, your mind releases the positive energy that decreases the negative thoughts and stress. Chanting mantras is an ancient practice that calms your mind and soul. And scientific studies have found that chanting mantras like Om for 10 minutes can decrease anxiety and depressive symptoms inside of our body. It doesn't have to necessarily be Om. It can be, I am worthy, I am worthy, I am worthy, I am worthy, I am worthy. This is not my reality. I am light. It can be whatever you feel like it needs to be for you. So when I said that I was, what we need to do, our subconscious mind, as it relates to using these mantras to really reprogram our subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is a powerful, very powerful force to be reckoned with. It actually makes up 95% of your brain power, and it handles everything that your body needs to function properly, from eating to breathing to digesting and memories. And a lot of those things, the way that we exist in the world and we're unconsciously existing this way, is because it's coming from our subconscious mind. And we literally have to retrain the way that our mind operates and the way the things that we say to ourselves, creating that. Remember, I said that we want to build or engage in a new relationship, participate in a new relationship with ourselves, right? And then we talked about self-esteem already. So self-esteem, your identity, who are you right now? Who is the individual that you want to be, right? And this is not used as a tool to say, I don't have any self-acceptance. Self-acceptance is accepting every aspect of you, right? Really accepting every aspect of you, and then finding out what character traits you would like to strengthen or what character traits you would like not to have. And it doesn't mean that you don't love yourself. It just means that you're meeting yourself where you're at. A lot of times, especially us, a lot of people that are in their healing process are engaged in being healers, right? Or engaged in helping people along their healing process. So it's the same thing that you would say to someone else. Self-acceptance doesn't mean that you have to like it. It just means that this is what's going on right now at this time in my life. Identifying who you are, what is the essence of you, which is your intrinsic true nature, your good qualities, all of those things, and then assessing what behaviors are you exhibiting that you don't want to have anymore, right? And then what do you need to do? Who do you need to talk to? Who do you need to tap into? You can talk to me, you can find out, email me, whatever the case may be. And someone can help you process through that and acquiring the tools that's necessary to really build that up. There was another part that I talked about in the poem that talked about healing tears, right? And a lot of people, we hold back the crying, hold back the healing, because that is a true measure of vulnerability, right? And I'm going to say this, and I never like to have anything be gender specific or gender dominant, but especially as men, society has imposed upon you this relationship with emotion and crying that has prohibited men from really being able to cry as much or as freely, as openly as women. I'm not saying that women don't have the same barrier. I'm saying that as men, they have this restriction. And when I say, here I am with healing tears, there are actually three types of tears, right? So there's reflexive tears, there's continuous tears, and there's actually emotional tears. And reflexive tears are actually 98% water, right? The tears that are flowing through our body is 98% water. So anytime that you are, that you feel as if you're going through your process of healing, restoration, that you need to release a cry, that is your body trying to detoxify you. This is not just something I'm saying to you. This is something that has scientifically been proven by Dr. Ray, who is a tearologist. Did y'all even know something like this exists? Well, it does. And actually emotional tears, they contain stress hormones, right? And they get excreted from your body through crying. Did you ever know? And also When you cry, you actually crying actually produces endorphins and oxytocins, which are the natural painkillers and feel-good hormones. So if you're going through your process and you need to have that deep cry and you're trying to hold it back, you know how we all, I don't want to cry, I don't feel like crying, you make me cry. You need to cry. I don't be liking to tell people what they need to do, but I'm just saying, if you want to move on through your healing process, it'll be beneficial if you allow yourself the privilege of feeling all of your feelings and being fully human, man, woman, child, any, whatever, non-conforming, non-gender conforming, take that time to cry. There's another part when I talked about remission, right? I said, I'm in healing tears in remission. And daily, I'm on a mission to remember that my gift was gifted through my pain. When we hear the word remission, right, we think about like someone being in remission from cancer. When I put this in here, remission is basically like was reducing the signs and symptoms. And for me, it was reducing the signs and symptoms of all of the different things that was ailing me through my life. So yes, when I said I'm here with healing tears and remission, that means I'm just reducing the signs and the symptoms. I'm not all the way healed. Healing is a continual practice. It's a continual process. It's something that we have to engage in on a daily basis, possibly for the rest of our lives, right? And that is not a bad thing. This is not a life sentence. We get to have the ability, the opportunity to heal, right? We have the opportunity to heal, and in our process, engage in things like this with each other to heal with each other. And one of the next impactful words is entrenchment. And an entrenchment is actually the process or effect of an attitude, a habit, or a belief that has become so firmly established that it is very difficult or unlikely to change. And a lot of times we can be such self-critics and most of the violence that we experience is self-directed violence that we do to ourselves. And something so an entrenchment is something that's so entrenched into our character, our temperament trait versus our character trait, right? Our temperament trait is biologically determined disposition, and it's an emotional response that is embedded into the fiber of our being, and character traits is something that we developed over time, right? And it's not as easy to change a temperament trait as it is to change a character trait, and that's why the self-assessment, the learning new tools, the continuous behavior is so necessary. The intent, the investigation of ourselves is so necessary. And the next line was, so my spirit can enrich, improve, and enhance the quality of value for yourself. And so next I want to go into secrets keeping you sick. And something that's so paramount as it relates to this workshop and why some things must be heard. And in order for things to be heard, you have to tell them. In order for you to tell them, you have to identify them, you have to vocalize them. I'm not saying that you go tell everybody. I'm not saying that you go tell anybody, but the first thing I want you to do is tell yourself, whether that have to be verbally out loud, and sometimes we have to hear it out loud, but sometimes it has to be sometimes it can just be on paper, but it needs to get outside of you. You need to give that thing air, because what grows in the dark will die in the light of exposure, period, point blank, right? And so secrets, or the research about secrets, the emotional, mental, and physical, spiritual impact of secrets are well documented. In fact, research suggests that keeping secrets can significantly boost stress hormones, impact blood pressure, inhibit sleep, and contribute to mental health and substance use disorders, and even increase chronic pains. So keeping secrets and emotional suppression actually releases cortisol inside of your body, which is a stress hormone, and contributes to heart disease and diabetes, right? So when we think that we're, silent, we say that trauma silences us, but keeping those things in, we're actually engaging in more self-directed violence. So if you need to say that thing, something that you've never told anybody, something that you don't know if you ever want to tell anybody, that's fine. I'm not saying go spread it to the world, but I am saying give that thing some air, get it outside of you, because it's becoming infectious, and it's coming infectious inside of your body, in your mind. And guess what? It's manifesting in the way that you experience life. It's manifesting in your relationships. It's manifesting in your ability to have relationships. It's manifesting in your adapting or adopting to unhealthy relationships. It's manifesting in those ways, right? And then the next thing that I talked about was an inner battle. And that is just a lengthy and difficult conflict and struggle with self. Who do I want to be? Who do I don't want to be? How am I showing up today? I don't want to show up like this. I want to be able to be free. I want to be able to be more talkative. I want to be able to be more personable. It's a practice, right? It's a practice. And next is compassion, having self-compassion with yourself, having compassion with the people around you, but also most importantly, having self-compassion towards yourself increases happiness and improves medical outcomes, reduces stress, reduces psychopathology, and increase social connections. A lot of times we will give more compassion to people than we do to ourselves, but I want you to be very tender and loving and nurturing to yourself while you're going through this healing journey, this process. And another line of the poem, when I said that, let me see, I got humbled through humiliation and I jumped in the jungle for affiliation, but it was all needed to reconciliation of self. Affiliation. And chose all of these words when I was writing them down. It wasn't until later on that I really went and really uncovered these words and dug deeper and created this workshop. It's like an affiliation is a social relationship in which a person joins to seek out one or more other individuals. Usually it's based on a liking of a personal attachment rather than perceived material benefits. And a lot of times we want to be affiliated with individuals, and that causes us to engage in behaviors that we don't want to, right? It causes us to be in unhealthy relationships because we want that social connection. And that is something that we all desire as human beings. It is something that is actually necessary and mandatory for our development, is social relationships. So how can I do that for me in my healing process in a way that's going to be conducive to my overall health? And reconciliation is a process of two people or one person, I'm talking about right now, resolving conflicts. How do you reconcile with the things of your past, the things that you have been engaged in, the things that have happened to you, and the things that you have allowed to happen to you through this process? Now, one thing about me, I'm a very loving and caring person, and I'm very compassionate, but however, I will bring to light some things that we allow ourselves to go through in this healing process. And then you have to take personal accountability. And accountability is not just the knowing of, yes, this happened to me, I'm going to punish myself, I'm going to hold myself accountable. No, accountability cannot happen without the transformative mindset. So accountability is not just paying attention to how this has affected you, but how it's affected everybody around you, and how it's affected the way that you show up in the world, and also acquiring the tools for you to not engage in that type of behavior again. And I'm talking about holding yourself accountable for the person that you want to be, for the man or the woman that you want to show up as today in this world, and how you want to engage with a personal, intrinsic, deep relationship with yourself. And it's paramount. When I came home from prison and I didn't know, right? I didn't know what I was going to do. The only thing that I didn't know is that I wanted to stay clean. And then I went on this journey of self-discovery because I wanted to know, why did I use drugs every day when I had moments of clarity and I knew that I was forming myself? Why did I hop in and out of cars right after a gun had been put to my head and somebody took their money back? And as soon as I made it a block up the road, I hopped into another car. Why, before I got on drugs, I engaged in relationships for the sake of just having someone to be present? I had to learn myself and reconcile with those things before I could do the necessary hard work, right? Tell myself some harsh truths. The truth is, Tracy, you was loose. Now, was there reasons and external factors that contributed to you being loose? Yes, with yourself. And I'm not just talking about sexually. I'm talking about loose with your love, loose with your time, loose with your energy. Yes, there were things, but at some point we have to take responsibility for our own healing process. And we talked about embracing a new reality with yourself. But now I want to talk about the breath and the medication. The breath being medication. The breath being our most greatest tool for emotional regulation. When we talk about just the texture of breath, it's rising and falling and the physical sensations of movements that accompanies. This helps to synchronize our mind and our body and brings us more into the mode of the presence. So there's something called cardiac coherence. This is a breathing technique, very simple. There are 3 different forms of it. One is breathing in breathing in 4 times and breathing out 4 times with one finger on your nostril. And some very simple techniques. I am going to actually send an email back to everyone that joined this with some different techniques of breathing techniques. But this is our medication, you all. Outside of any medication that you have been prescribed by doctors and things of that nature, when you are in a heightened sense of emotional derailment or whatever the case may be, you've been stimulated and you just pissed off and you just going all crazy and your insides are just vibrating. Taking a moment to take a breath, to step back, emotional regulation. There is another tool called stop, right? And it's like stop, take a step back, take a breath, observe, and proceed. A lot of times we allow these situations that occur in our lives to take over not only that moment, but for the rest of the day. For the rest of the day. How do we use that breath in the moment when somebody's pissing you off? You had 4 or 5 Zooms. Let me tell you something. Because I do a lot of these facilitations and I'm doing a lot of pouring out, but in between each sessions, I make sure that I pour into myself. A lot of times we do this, right? Because we think that being busy is productive, right? And yes, making sure you being booked and busy is great. That's a great thing. Yeah, go do that. But how about you take a moment in between those 5 Zoom meetings that you have, those 5 minutes you're steady rushing to get to? How about you take a moment, you take 5 minutes to release that energy and that tension that came from the last meeting before you go into the next one? Because guess what? You're doing yourself and the people that you're going into this meeting with a disservice by not releasing that and coming into yourself before you go into engage into a next thing cognitively. You already have this information from the previous session, the tension, whether it was, now you have this new task to do. We need to learn how to take a moment and take a breath, get some cardiac coherence, get our mind and our body and our heart in synchronization and move forward with our process. And so now there's some more. I don't want to talk too long, but the benefits of telling yourself the truth is necessary and is mandatory, because you can only what you acknowledge is the only thing that you can heal. Only what you have identified. And sometimes I did this in my training course to be a well-being coach, right? It was a task, and I tasked you all and I challenged you all to find someone that you love, right? Someone that you trust, someone that you know just wants to benefit from you being your best self, somebody that you can trust and you know that they don't want to harm you. I would ask you to ask them and task them with telling you what are your greatest attributes and what areas do they feel like you can strengthen. And take an assessment of yourself. I did that with 3 people that I trusted, and they gave me some great feedback, and I was able to actually use that feedback and attach it to some feedback that I already knew about myself, and become the woman that I am today, and also the woman that I am attempting to be on a continuous basis. Is this journey going to be easy? It can be a lot lighter than we think. Does healing hurt? Yes. Healing hurts. It's growing pains. Yes. Do you have aches? There's some days you don't know if you can make it through. All of those things are true. But I am here to tell you from somebody who, listen, out-of-body experiences for the majority of 23 years. I've been incarcerated. I was a survival sex worker. I did things that you all couldn't even fathom for the sake of one more. And that was just so I could escape reality. To someone that doesn't do anything outside of herself. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't drink liquor. I literally live my life like it's golden on a continuous basis every single fucking day. And I don't allow external forces to control who I am and who I want to be. You understand what I'm saying? And it's not, yes, I want to show up in the world. People have this thing like, I don't care what people think about me. For me, that's not the truth, because I want to exist where I leave your presence and you like, wow, I have been shifted. I have been changed. Am I going to let their perception of me make me question who I am? Sometimes when they do, I have to take a step back and then I reflect and I do what I said, catch it, check it, change it. I do some regulation of my thoughts. I'm like, no, that's not true. This is who I am. but it's paramount. And anytime that we're in a space where we're talking about, you know, trauma, and we opening up these things, we always want to make sure that we close them back up too. And so what I want to do now is take a moment for just anyone to offer up anything that they would like to say about their journey, about their healing process, about anything that they feel like they want to contribute to this space in this moment, any feedback on anything that you have heard in my presentation. And then we're going to go into a writing exercise, if you will all join me in this writing exercise. And we're going to use those words, some of those words that I communicated with you all about, but it's actually on the document, to answer one of the questions. And the questions that we have here are, what did you have to tell yourself to begin your healing process? What do you need to tell yourself to continue on your healing journey? Who can benefit from hearing your story? What do you need to release? And why must some things be heard? I'm going to task everybody to use some of the words from the word bank. Poets, writers, I would love to hear some poetry, but just writing anything would be beneficial in this moment as we're having this collective space. Also, at the bottom of the workshop, there is 2 QR codes, one that you can scan. If you're not in the Survivors Connect group, I really believe that you should scan and get into the Survivors Connect group, because I'm going to talk to Mo, but yes, the Survivors Ball is not to next year, but I think that it would be beneficial for us to keep hosting these workshops, right? Make sure that we stay connected with each other throughout this year. And if you have a workshop that you may want to lead, let's talk about it. Let's help develop it. If you have an idea, because I do develop workshops from people's ideas, I help people bring them to life, let's do it. And then the other one is a positive psychology. And it gives you a lot of cognitive behavioral techniques and more information about things, very simple, tactical things, tangible things that you can do to incorporate in your process of healing, restoration, and repair. So I would like to just open up the space to anyone that has any feedback, thoughts, questions, concerns, and da, 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 da.
Well, I can barely speak. I'm overwhelmed with emotion, and I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
But I think I'm being honest with myself, but I'm really holding on to the pain, and I'm isolating because of it. And that's against my natural nature. But I'm hanging in here. I'm not going to leave.
But I want to say thank you, right? It's being vulnerable and saying that out loud right there is very courageous. And I also want to say that you were at the Survivor Ball with us, right? You were coming out of that shell, and right now you're in the space with us. So maybe it may be the small steps. A lot of times in our healing process, we're engaging in things that we need, and it may not feel like it. And all the times we don't have to know what we're doing with our emotions all the time, like right now it's just feeling the emotion and being present in the moment. But right now you're in community. Right now you're not in isolation. You're here with all of the rest of the individuals that are here also engaging in their process of healing and restoration. And like I was just saying or telling Mo, I think this is something that even if it's just maybe once every 2 weeks, where we could come together as a Survivor Connect group and just have these different sessions and do some learning and maybe do some collective reading, because let me tell you something, shame puts us in isolation, and isolation takes us away from community. And the opposite of that is bringing us back into community, where we don't have to be isolated with our thoughts, where we don't have to be alone with our emotions, and where we don't have to be alone with our feelings. And, is there someone that you have in your network? Or
yes. I have a therapist, and I have friends. I have 4 special friends, and one is very special, and I do express myself, but I'm too busy beating myself up right now and not being kind to myself. And that isn't doing me any good. But no, I do activities. I go out, but it's almost like I have to force myself to do anything. Once I get there, I enjoy myself. but it's like everything I do, I have to force. It isn't the way I used to be. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ned. Thank you for coming into the space, and thank you for sharing that. Thank you for taking the steps, you know, thank you for taking the steps to move forward in your journey. And I think that I'm a firm believer in, like I said, like in the poem, that I have these affirmations posted on the postcards on my walls. If my bed didn't have clothes all over them, then I would show you all of the postcards that's literally posted on my walls, because helping me to say kind things to myself, helping me to remind myself to be kind to myself. Sometimes we need a little bit of help. Sometimes we need a little bit of help.
I'd like to add something.
Yes, please.
So last Thursday I was at a night with the stars. Two of my artists, one of performance slot, and we were on the red carpet doing our interviews, and I was standing behind you, and you just exuded this aura, like you had this gold crown on, and I don't know, I was just like, man, like I was just intrigued by your presence. And I'm a very spiritual person, and I believe that God brings people, you know, together for a reason. And I stood behind you and I listened to your interview, and I went up there and they interviewed me about my managing my two artists. And then, you know, we had the show and everything, and I listened to your poetry, and it just like gave me goosebumps, you know. And I don't know, I just believe that I was in the right time, in the right place to meet you. April 29th, I just lost my mother to addiction. She was 47 years old, and she had a heroin, cocaine, fentanyl overdose. And sorry, but just being a child of an addict, you got a lot of crazy truths and a lot of things that I need to heal from. And I recently started a support group for children of addicts. I stay in Springfield, Illinois. And it was just last Monday, and a lot of people came out. It was just a beautiful group, and heard a lot of different people's stories and stuff. And I used to write a lot of poetry, and I had stopped for a while. And it's crazy because another thing I do here at my business, I have a open mic night, and it started off more so a poetry night, you know, to get local poets to come out and do their thing. There's, you know, it's a smaller town here. There's not a lot of things like that, especially for a Black audience, you know. So it's just crazy that I host something like that, and I hadn't wrote in so long until my mom died. My brother asked me to write the poem on her obituary, and I said that with each one of these groups, April Flowers groups, I was going to write a poem, you know, just as part of my healing journey. If I didn't say anything else in the group and just let people talk, I did want to at least, you know, write at least one piece to get out there. And, you know, you played your part in inspiring me to do so when I came out and listened to you at the Night with the Stars. So I just thank you for that.
Oh, thank you, love. And I saw that when you had posted it about, and then I saw the people that came up and showed up, and I was just like, I love that for you. And I love that even through your own, because we heal in community. And the circle process, I don't know if anybody knows anything about like restorative justice and the ancient indigenous practice of repairing harm is ancient indigenous people use the circle as a process of healing, right? Because we're all on an even playing field in a circle. So you think about when you have, like if I'm sitting in the front and everybody is sitting, you know, behind and I'm teaching this class, if I'm leading this, then automatically cognitively, our mind goes to hierarchy and authority. You're the one in the position, right? You are the person of authority. And so what the circle does is it allows everybody to be on the same playing field. And so they're equally yoked with communicating what they want and they need. I thank you for coming and showing up today. I'm sending you love. Anything you can do, like any time you want to reach out, whatever the case may be, anything that I can do to help, you know, especially with my experience, because I'm also the child of someone who has substance use. My father actually, in his act of addiction, molested me. And after that situation happened, he got clean and stayed clean for 25 years. And so I know what it's like to be a child of of someone who used substance, but I don't know what it's like to lose a parent from it. But I know what it's like to be an active addiction and wanting to be better and wanting to stop and just not knowing how. So anything that I can do to help April's Flowers, send a donation, send some people your way, write something, whatever.
Even if we had to do it over, you know, virtual.
I'm down. I'm down.
Great.
Yes, I'm down. Inbox me. Let's get it together. Let's get it together.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to open up and share anything about anything, what they've heard, what they experienced?
I'll say that it's definitely it was a lot of information thrown at me, and I was keeping up, and that's a pretty hard thing to do because my mind likes to go like this all the time. But this is the first time I was like really engaged with everything. And I guess the main thing that sticks out to me is the self-esteem part, because my healing journey didn't start until the pandemic, when physically everything was shut down. I felt trapped. Like I was starting to go up, then I just went down. And I actually had a period of almost a week where it actually took Mo Poetry to snap me out of it, because I let my phone die, and I was just in this I'm not sure if I would have gone through it, but I was definitely a suicidal mind state. And so from that time, I went and started going to therapy. And one of the big things that stuck out is I didn't feel I deserved anything but pain. So reprogramming a lot of stuff that I tell myself on a daily basis, I had to realize those were things either said verbally or physically done to me that said that you are anything less than anyone else. So I appreciate being part of this space and really just it's reaffirming the catch it, check it, change it thoughts that come to my mind, because my mind always is going. So it's very hard to, especially when I'm doing something else, to deal with my thoughts. But now I'm understanding now with this workshop is that no matter what I'm doing, take that breath, that mental breath, like stop and check it and reassess it so that it's an easier thing to do. So sorry I said.
Thank you for sharing that, Saul. And we did record this Zoom. And if Mo wanted to send this back out so anybody can go back through and revisit it or grab any more of the nuggets or any information, because I do, I'm an information you know what I'm saying? So, but thank you, Saul, for joining and for just helping and just throughout the whole process, of the Survivor's Ball, but most importantly, in your own process of healing, because when we are able to heal through our own selves, we have the ability then to be a better person for our communities, for the people that surround us, and everybody that we're engaged in. But the process first starts with us. First process.
Information on the next Survivor's Ball as well.
I'll go next. I first of all, I apologize for being a couple minutes late, but I think that something that Ned had said that stuck out to me was about how, because of how I'm feeling, or because of what I think of myself, it's like leads to isolation. And I never really thought of it like that. But like, you self-sabotage and you end up isolated, or, just certain things or certain choices that you make that lead to that. But definitely grateful to be here, and very looking forward to what this workshop can do for me toward my healing process. I didn't really know about the breathing. So I'm definitely looking forward to you putting that in my arsenal and using that to regulate my emotions. Having ADHD, that's like one of the symptoms is having trouble with self-regulation and emotional regulation specifically. So I appreciate that.
I love you.
Whew, okay, trying to make it through this. But this has been a unique time for me. I had a specific word from God that and I have to keep repeating it because it's actively going on every day. But my bigger doesn't always involve everybody else's bigger. Their bigger doesn't involve me. And that it was not betrayal, but that he was removing some people from my life. And I came to a point where I had to tell God, like, I'm giving you everything. The business that's been going for 4 years now, which is this, Regal Rhythms and Hit the Mic. I gave him personal relationships. I gave him family relationships. I was just tired. I was just like, whatever, do whatever. And I want to see what's standing in the end. And I deal with rejection. So I've been holding it in because I'm like, I know what God said, and I keep going back to that. But it was hard, you know, even the person that I've been dating for a couple of years ended abruptly. These are my first tears, even since that has happened. It's been so much, but I thank you. I thank you for sharing, even about the tears, because, you know, I was telling myself, like, Mo, you were so behind. I wish I could show you. Like, I got all this stuff I need to do.
Yeah.
Former workshops, former stuff, grants, all this stuff I need to do. And I'm like, get busy, just do. But I know that work has been my coping mechanism, and pouring myself into things has been my coping mechanism, but I'm not dealt with anything internal that I needed to deal with when I do that. I just put that, you know, that energy in the work, hoping that it'll succeed and it'll make me feel better. But I'm through self-medicating through work. I'm through self-medicating through everything. Like, you know, and and this isn't personal against anybody. You know, God has really did this in my life. I know it's him, and I know it's a process to grow me, to heal me. So I'm glad I'm here.
Thanks, Mom. Thank you for crying, giving yourself that space and the ability to shed those tears, because it's so necessary. You know, yes, we dive into things as coping mechanisms, avoidance, displacement, displacement and avoidance show up in those ways. And we all, you know, all have different responses to, you know. Anybody else want to share anything?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I wasn't going to share until Mo shared. I was just here to listen. I came in super late, but I'm just at the point where I recently read this book, and I'm not sure if anybody's ever read it, but it's called When Chicken Heads Come Home to Roost. It's a really great book, and she's basically talking about how we just always have to be strong Black women, and how we just present like we're resilient to anything and everything. And my life has been so difficult. And I come from a family where my mother was also an addict. She still is. And literally every time I try to reach my hands back to my family, something terrible happens to me. something terrible in this last recent time. My whole family showed up for the 4th of July. And they all piled into a 2-bedroom apartment that I worked very hard to make very nice for my children. And I've run very far from them. They live in Wisconsin. And I'm trying my best to be me and not judge them and learn how to love them and learn how to keep them a part of my children's life. Because our life has become very white.
I'm on the phone, hold on.
Our life has become very white, and that's not a problem for me because I don't have a problem with any type of people, but I also want to have a connection to my own and my own family. But every time I reach back, something terrible happens. And this last recent time, they flooded my whole apartment. I'm in it right now. You guys can probably see like the ceilings and the walls and everything, and it left me in just like a horrible position, and everybody's gone, you know? So I'm just grateful to be in this space where I'm finally ready to shield that strong Black woman, you know, put her to rest and just be a woman and know that I'm strong, but I can feel pain. That's pretty much it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. What is your name again?
Oh, my name is Zinnia.
Zinnia. You're Tracy Stanton right now. So I wanted to call you by your name. Thank you, Zinnia, for sharing that. Because yes, we do. And we have attested our level of being stern with our strength, or not showing emotions with our strength, and really like showing that vulnerability and not having to have it all together all the time, and being able to communicate that and exude that and say it is showing strength. All along we've heard, you know, we do that, we're weak, and you know, all of those various things. But Brene Brown that says that vulnerability is our true measurement of courage.
Thank you. I wanted to leave the space for someone else, but thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Anybody else wanted to share anything? Lisa has wrote a poem. There was actually a task, I don't know if everybody had got in, but a writing prompt to use the words in the word bank. I did send the packet out to everybody prior to now, but to use the words in the word bank to actually write a poem or just write something answering one of the questions. So Lisa has wrote hers, and I would definitely love to hear it. If you're ready to spit it, Lisa.
Yes. Sorry, I was trying to make sure my children were hushed in the background.
Thank you. Hey, Lisa.
Hey. Okay, so I'm going to read this real quick. Really? I had been forced into a pose, prostrated into a predisposed position before the feet of my abusers. Truth replaced with mantras, the words they forced out of my throat. Fortified by fear, I built a wall mortified. This concrete normalized my self-esteem, falsified. Those healing tears were justified. Their cancerous lies have grown benign, and I'm in remission, and I have forgiven. I'm no longer posing in their prison, modeling for their attention. No more emotional suppression. My affirmations have allowed me to move freely out of the bars. 16 years I spent on my own flaws, trapped in my own mind, bound by paternal laws because of the pain, because of my thoughts. I believed I was trapped in their prison, but it was really my own. I mortared myself in with my silence and gauze. I was bound by a man without claws, but I've picked up my own walls with working words, all those things I left unheard. I no longer need a savior. I'm fully capable of demanding the reprogramming of a pretend imprisoning. I was once forced into a pose, put in all those positions a little girl should never be in, but now I am mended, drawing attention to who I am as myself. And that's that.
Listen,
yes.
Because yes.
Yes, that's that piece.
Yes.
Yes.
That is that piece.
Yes, Lisa.
Bravo,
Yes,
bravo.
Lisa. Yes.
Change your
Anybody
name
else?
to emoji files.
Hello.
I'm here still. I'm just muting it to you because my kids are being wild in the background.
The kids are being kids. The kids are being
Right.
kids, right? Did anybody else write anything using the writing prompts?
I'm almost finished mine. I'm still writing it, but I'll be finished in a few minutes.
Okay. It'll be finished in a few minutes. Did anybody else have anything that they wanted to share into the space, or anything they wanted to release into the space, anything they wanted to give air to? Because why? Some things must be heard.
Hi.
Hi, Kimberly.
It's Babette. Is Kim on?
Oh, okay. It's Babette. I saw Kimberly was going. Okay. Okay. So Kimberly, you must gonna go next because I saw you coming on and off you. I'm sorry, Babette.
No, it's okay. Again, I'm just inspired because I was really nervous how it was going to be when I first came to the Artsville. But I'm just at awe that people can share so much pain and brokenness and just put it out there and be honest. And I just think that is incredible because we all do have to heal. But just being vulnerable like that, I am so grateful that people can be open like that. Me personally, I am not there yet. But again, I don't even have any words. So I'm just gonna say I'm grateful and thank you. And I'm just so happy to be among people that can tell the truth and heal from the brokenness and not just be a survivor, but choose to live out of all that craziness, pain, and everything that was done to each person. So thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Ms. Babette. Thank you so much for sharing it. And I think that, because in this space, just want to acknowledge that sharing these experiences can always be different for other individuals, right? And that we don't have any say over what is going to trigger someone else. We don't have any say about how a word can impact another person, right? All that we can do is just hope that in this space where we know that we're coming into this space to disclose things, right? To talk about things that we have experienced in the past, and that we can do that as gently as possible. And the probability of someone being impacted by that is present. But I think if we stay grounded in the understanding and the knowing that we're all here to push through the process of healing, right? Which may not always feel good, it may not, because the way the trauma work is it just comes back once you're stimulated by something. That's why whenever there is a space like this that we open up, remember we talked about open up, we also talk about the power. So we close the space as well with affirming ourselves, with acknowledging that we are survivors, with acknowledging our strengths and the fact that every day that we're in this involved in this process of healing and restoration, that every day we are exuding more and more strength and we're building upon our capacity to be our better selves. That is what I definitely want to make sure that I impart upon all of us in this process, that no, every day is not going to be good, but every day is not going to be bad either. You're still going to experience joy. You're going to experience all the other emotions that come along with living, and I want us to make sure that when those moments come, that we try to do our best not to shrink. Because as people, sometimes I have experienced that we sometimes won't allow ourselves to feel as much joy because we are fearful that, it may not be there tomorrow or the day after. But we talked about in this and in some of my other ones, it's just being present in whatever the moment is, being present in the fact of the knowing that we can experience joy, we can't have laughter, we can't have love. And all of those are part of our healing journey, just like the pain is, just like the recurring thoughts of these things. There are also good memories that come up throughout the day. And just identifying what brings us joy in our lives and making sure that we incorporate that, like being very strategic and principled about incorporating that into our daily lives. That is necessary and mandatory in our lives as well, as we're going through the healing process, as we're going through the healing journey, finding out what we like and what we love and what can contribute to us, bringing a smile upon our face and making sure that we engage in that as well.
Yes. I just like, I'm in the spirit of gratitude, and this, you know, and you know, just allow myself permission to actually be here and whatnot, because so much of untrust and anxiety goes on in social media. I feel like a person about to give birth looking for a safe space, because, you know, like animals, you know, you don't want to give birth just anywhere. You don't want to release just anywhere. So again, I can understand, you know, hesitation and telling all your business online and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But again, this tribe, this circle, whatever, it makes you more comfortable, you know what I mean, stuff like that, to give birth and whatnot, and to release and stuff like that, and to get naked, you know, spiritually and whatnot. So, you know, I'm just a spirit of gratitude for that. Like, you know, this being a safe space and whatnot today. Here's my little short poem and whatnot that I did try to use a couple of the words. To begin my healing, I had to dispose some things my affiliations brought me, things my parents taught me, limited beliefs like men don't cry, only white people go to therapy. Meditation should not be our medication, only Jesus, but shadow work works too. My flaws are me too. My mistakes are me too. My aborted kids and my aborted dreams I paid for are me too. And so are these screams I hold in the back of my throat, like you hold your pee, you hold your breath. It is me. It is me. I used to silence these words and thoughts, but now on the Zoom call, I say hi to them. In poem.
Come on, Dean. Can everybody come on now? Yeah, give Dean some.
Yes.
Yeah, Dean, give Dean some snaps.
Whew.
The way y'all whip these poems out with them words, listen, okay?
Hey now.
Hey now. Thank y'all, man. Thank y'all. Spaces like this are definitely needed, you know, because like Dean just said, we're going through a lot in this world. We've been, you know, we've been harmed, and there's distrust, and there's anxieties, and there's, you know, there's fear of rejection, and there's judgment, and there's all of those things that we have been dealing with, and that we have been tasked to deal with for a lot of our lives, really, right? The majority of us, a lot of our lives. And it's not easy, you know, but it is courageous, and it does take bravery to even, like you said, come into the space. So thank you, Dean, and thank you again. I'm gonna keep on affirming y'all. Thank y'all, everybody that decided to come today on a Sunday, like I stated before, and to just engage and share space with each other and release, if not just a little bit of something today in this moment, and hopefully become affirmed in the fact that you do have what you need, the tools inside of you to be able to continue on your healing journey. And at times they'll be activated from different people. It could be from a song, it could be from a poem, it could be from a quote. You know, when we think about these that can contribute to our overall healing, it could be therapy, it could be a group, you know, all of these, it could be from small or something small to something of a major magnitude. It could just be something you're driving down the street and you see a sign, and that sign can have a quote on it that could contribute to, you know, you being in a better space, or you having more self-acceptance, or you being a little bit more open. And like Dean said, yeah, everybody, listen, everything ain't for everybody. You know, you don't never have to stand all in front of a crowd and tell your story about that. Everything isn't for everybody. Your spirit is always going to lead you to where you're supposed to be. And it's like, how do I just take a moment to listen to my spirit in that? And how do I sit back and reflect on what it is that I want to be? You know, and there's a difference. When I was talking yesterday to the women that were in my workshop, you know, and a lot of them said, I wish I could, you know, stand up in front of people and, you know, share my story with them. Well, I want to stand up in front of people and share my story with them. Now that's different, you know, than someone just being an introvert and saying, hey, I'm fine with it. But if it's something that you want to do and there's a blockage, they're blocking you to do it, then, you know, I suggest doing the necessary work, the internal work, to see where's the blockage coming from. And what it is, what is it that I can do to move past that barrier, that blockage? And Ned said something that was so powerful and profound earlier. And this is something that I actually done in Survivor's Ball. I kind of acknowledged it as myself. I mean, I had acknowledged myself. She said that sometimes we unconsciously hold on to the pain. At times, like, who would we be without it? you know, like that's something that I just want to acknowledge, because like, who would we be? And even just a vision, like this is who I've been for so long. Like, this is a big major part of my being, of the aspect of who I am. How do I let it go? You know, how do I let it go? And then if it's not been addressed, or if I feel like I haven't had any, there's not been any amends about the pain, it's like I can't let it go, because there's still something there that I don't feel like I've gotten, whether that's an apology, a forgiveness, or an acknowledgement, or anything like that. I was talking to someone yesterday at the workshop, and they said, well, this person is not, I don't feel like they've made amends to me, or that they have acknowledged how they hurt me. And the truth of the matter is, we have to figure out, how are we going to heal if we never get that acknowledgement, if we never get that forgiveness? And that part, that can be very deep, right? That can be very, very deep. And that can cut very deep. And I don't want to be dismissive of that. I don't want to be dismissive of that at all, because it is the truth. It's true in that. But how do I heal? How do I love myself? How do I give myself permission to be free and to live freely? And I'm not saying like me, like, I'm saying, how do I allow myself to experience a day of happiness? If I never get that, I'm never able to confront that person. And sometimes just even having that thought creates another anxiety for us, right? That creates some more, like, just even having the thought, what if I never get that? Right? But I think, again, I go back to the writing aspect and the writing component of it. How is this thing didn't fit me? And who would I be if I didn't have it?
Yes. And Kimberly, don't forget.
Oh, yeah, and Kimberly.
Oh, yeah. You're next.
Where you at?
Right. I'm right here.
Hey, Kimberly.
Hey. Well, I've been drawing. I wanted to show you it's kind of hard to see.
Yes, I was
trying to put it up there. But anyway, I've been taking notes. I wanted you to see.
Oh, okay.
I'll take a picture and send it to you.
Please.
Yes.
Can you put it up again? I pinned her.
It's kind of the lighting in here.
Be free plus self, survivor connects, heal, tears are healing. Oh, isolation. Some things must be heard. Oh, I want a picture of this.
I'll take a picture. I had two things. One was like the idea of like affirmations. I've had these cards for about 10 years. They're called healing cards. They're created by Carolyn Mize, MYSS. But it has like an affirmation on the card, and then it has like a statement. And like, I've been really focusing on my health during COVID, and I got like a diagnosis of having a bad thyroid. And so this card says, resisting change leads to illness. Accepting change brings about peace. And then I really have been trying to use this as my affirmation mantra. The other side says, embrace the changes in your life, because I've been unemployed for 2 years. Like, I've been a substitute teacher, but it's been really hard during this time. And it says, release what you no longer need and welcome the seeds of new experience. So I'll read it one more time. Embrace the changes in your life, release what you no longer need, and welcome the seeds of new experience. So it's just something that has been on my mirror, and I've been doing a lot of like resumes and stuff lately, and I put it by my computer to like remind me that, change is a good thing. And this week I've had 3 job interviews, so I'm waiting on what is going to be the best option for me and my family. So, and I have one more interview. But one thing that I don't always do is read my poetry. And I know I had a piece that I was thinking about reading back in May during the Survivors Ball, but I didn't. But would you mind if I read it? And it's 750 words, so it's not short. Is that okay?
Yes, please read it.
Okay, I'm gonna turn off my video. This is called My Survivor Story in 750 words. My parents divorced when I was a baby, and between 12 months and 5 years old, I experienced all but one of the ACEs. Those are called adverse childhood experiences. I experienced abuse and neglect. I witnessed violence in my home. I had a family member attempt suicide. I had parents with substance abuse and addiction problems. I had a parent with mental health disorders. I suffered instability due to parental separation. At age 2, I witnessed and experienced domestic violence and became a helpless victim. During those formative years, I cannot remember outright, but my body remembers. My heart still hurts. The aftershocks haunt my spirit. My mother's love was vacant. A father was AWOL, and I was unsure if I would ever feel safe. As a preteen to adolescent, from age 11 to 14, I was molested and sexually abused. Every morning and evening, I squeezed my legs together tightly to keep him out, but he succeeded, and I always held back tears as he violated my trust, made excuses for his abuse, and threatened my existence. Every day, every month, and for too many years, I questioned my self-worth and wished I'd never been born. The fear alone was paralyzing as I summoned the strength to survive just one more day. I was a kid. I wish someone had taught me that my body belonged to me, and I was unsure if I would ever feel safe. I finally spoke my truth at 14. My mother chose the date and time when she cornered and confronted me. She pulled a piece of paper from her purse, one of countless notes I hid in my room for years. I wrote for help. I wrote to be heard. I wrote to be rescued, but I felt betrayed. I collapsed and cried on the kitchen floor. My mother never left my abuser's side. She chose him over me. My mother didn't stand up for me. She said, "Don't make me choose, because I will always choose my husband." She called me a bitch and sent me back into foster care until I aged out, just like thousands of Ohio's foster youth, and I was unsure if I would ever feel safe. In my 20s, I was hurt by what I hoped was real love. I became an empty shell, living as a ghost. I never once believed I was lovable, and I was unsure if I would ever feel safe. In my 30s, I was raped and believed it was my fault. Years later, I was also assaulted on a first date when I declined dinner and left the date early. He followed me and hit my car. Instead of running, I stood up to him, but he punched me and put his arms around my neck and slammed me against the wall. I did not ask for it, nor did I deserve what happened to me, yet I know what happened to me happens to countless women each day. And I was unsure if I would ever feel love or ever feel safe. In my 40s, I've guarded my heart and strived to stay clear of love. I clearly distanced myself to protect myself from being hurt. I avoid long-term relationships. Life just makes more sense this way. What my married friends think of a lifestyle, I believe, isn't much a life at all, because I do want more. My survivor story doesn't erase my desires and dreams, but I have always seemed unsure if I would ever feel safe. I endured years of abuse while anxiety creeped into my veins. I am resilient. I will continue to find ways to thrive and arrive as I overcome triggers, anxiety, and depression. I am not my PTSD. Painting and writing are my healing practices. I am a creative. I will find ways to cope and keep on keeping on despite setbacks and roadblocks. I am not a statistic. I have learned to overcome past shadows. I am stronger than my mother. I walk in my journey to express determination to persist and succeed. I refuse to give up. Every day is a new beginning. My experiences do not define me. They refine me and redesign my purpose. I am a resilient, not silent survivor. And this is my soul-inspired message for you. Never give up on yourself because your story matters. Just pick up the pen and begin to heal.
Yes. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kimber.
Great, Kim.
Yeah, that was so beautiful.
Oh,
Thank you for sharing.
And courageous. You're courageous for sharing. Anyone else have anything they would like to share? About the space, about what you believe that you need in this healing journey, about some things that you will incorporate, some moments of joy you would like to incorporate into your life as you're going through your healing journey. That's right, Dean. Safe spaces like this are needed.
I kind of would just
Go ahead, Dean.
you go. No, you go ahead. I'll remember.
So I didn't know if I wanted to share because I just felt like I wanted to be in the space to make sure this was a safe space, but I feel that it is safe enough to let folks know how I started my process. I was really broken. I was broken when I first met Tracy. I had lost my business. A lot of people that I had trusted with my life, had betrayed me and made me feel like I was small. Often in spaces, that's how they make me feel when I can no longer be used the way they wanted to use me. Setting boundaries is something that was hard for me to do because I was a people pleaser. I wanted everyone to be happy and feel welcome in the space that I'm in. And that can't work for the work that I want to do. The changes I want to make, not just for myself, but for my children and my grandchildren. And I had to accept the bad habits that I've implemented into my life because they were safe spaces for me when other people made me feel like shit. The promiscuous ways, the running to drugs and alcohol to make me feel better when they didn't make me happy. The shit was still there afterwards. So I needed to figure out what were the things that were hurting me. And it was the things that I was trying to hold on to that God was trying to remove from me. It was comfortable being able to blame other people for the way that I was feeling and the things that I was going through, but it wasn't their fault because I was allowing those things to happen and those things to take place because I had no boundaries. I didn't accept my role in the things that were occurring, as well as I didn't accept that I was the one allowing those people to show up that way in my space because I never had any boundaries. So what the brother shared earlier, just deprogramming all the things that I've learned in my life and knowing that what my mother taught me was it helped her survive. It's not going to help me survive, and it won't help my children as they learn from me what I know, what I've survived on. Those skills may not help them, and I'm learning it doesn't. Because the mental that I dealt with when I was their age is way deeper than it was when, in the 90s now. So I have to show my children, just because it looked good on me don't mean my drawers gonna fit yours. So you might have to buy a new set of underwear to make you feel a little better in what you're dealing with, because it's not the same when I was coming up. So deprogramming, yes. learning to get it out of your body. Thank you, Tracy, for implementing this space to teach us how to utilize the words that we're feeling and get them out of our bodies. Because often we identify who others say we are, and that's not who we are.
Thank you, Maisha. You know I love you, girl. You know I love you, girl. Yes. And you know, that's what we need to do sometimes. The relationships and interactions and spaces. It's not, you know, every space might not be for us, and that's okay. So I think you, Dean, said something so powerful. You said something so powerful that, you know, going to the space and seeing, you know, how do I feel? Taking a read, like letting our energy speak to us, right? You know, and saying, okay, well, maybe this isn't the space for me, and that's okay. And you just, we if we're adamant about our own healing processes, then if we're able to, because all the times we're not able to, right? And being gracious with ourselves and having compassion with ourselves at those moments that we're not able to, you know? But when we are, even if it's just a glimpse of time where it's kind of like, you know, I was using this analogy or this metaphor yesterday, when it's just like, if anybody played double dutch when they was younger, right? You played double dutch when you was younger, and you know that damn extension cord, that shit gonna hurt when you get in there, right? If it smack you, it's gonna hurt. But you right outside and you jumping in, you get ready to jump in, like you like this, like sometimes that's how it is when we are building up the courage to go into spaces, when we're building up the courage to face our trauma, when we're building up the courage to go and have that conversation or to get it out. It's just like jumping in that work. And sometimes we might get smacked, but when you make it through and you get that jump in, you feel you're exhilarated, right? And you get the momentum, and you keep going and you keep going, and that's how it is. And sometimes our healing process and our journey is just like getting ready to jump into that double dutch rope every day. You know, every day. And some days we might get smacked and be like, I ain't jumping that damn rope today. You know, I ain't jumping in today, I ain't playing no rope today. And you go back, you have your ass a seat, you know, but then tomorrow you just don't give up, you know, because ultimately you'll be giving up on yourself. You know, ultimately you'll be giving up on yourself, and you're doing yourself a disservice because you don't deserve that, right? You deserve to live a life that is not suffocated by our previous experiences. And I know, y'all, I know that it's a lot easier said than done, because I was in that cycle for 23 years, shit, 12 years old to 35, you know? So I know how hard it is, but I also know that it can be done, because I'm a living testimony to that. And just like so many other people that I have encountered that have gone along with this journey, and it's different for everybody. It's definitely different for everybody. What works for me is not going to work for you. What works for you is not going to work for the next person. And that's okay too. It's about having compassion, self-compassion with yourself. And it's about learning tools. Like Maisha said, we talk about reprogramming, right? Because we cognitively cannot unlearn things that's not cognitively possible, but we can relearn things, and we can do reprogramming. And it's the small things. We think about this healing, you know what I'm saying? Our capacity to heal is this big, huge thing. Like, oh, I gotta go, you know, I gotta jump out there. No, it's the very small things. Starting with telling yourself, you know what? I love you today. You know what, in the morning, waking up, you know what I'm saying, how we wake up and we get adorned, we adorn ourselves with jewels and eyelashes and makeup, and you know what I'm saying, and for the men, we make sure we're groomed up and all of this type of stuff before we go out the house, right? You adorn yourself with positive affirmations. It's the smallest things that build up, that lead to that continuous track of self-acceptance and self-love and releasing, even if it's something small like today, like I'm releasing that pain, you know? I'm releasing the grip that thing had on me. I'm releasing it. And it's the small things that lead up. And then maybe that becomes a continual process. Looking in the mirror today and saying, you know what, Tracy, I'm going to love on you today. It puts us on our armor, like we put on our clothes. We put on our clothes to physically protect us from any type of ailments from outside, right? It's the same thing that we have to do in the morning when we wake up with our spirits. We have to adorn ourselves. We have to protect ourselves. We have to love on ourselves throughout the day, and hopefully and pray that we continue the next day. Before you go to sleep, affirm yourself. Emotions, suppressed emotions come out into dreams. I've studied it. I got the research. It comes out in your dreams, suppressed emotions, and then suppressed emotions being different from repressed emotions, right? one of those you actually are actively suppressing, but the repressed emotions or repressed emotions and thoughts of things that you have unconsciously repressed over the years, and then they manifest in the way that you exist in the world. So, you know, the journey process can be very simple but profound. Just like a quote that you read can be very simple but profound. And it's like we have to activate every day and incorporate every day something into our lives to affirm ourselves and to also have compassion with ourselves while we are acquiring tools to regulate our thoughts, to assess our emotions, to find out what am I feeling, to expand our vocabulary or our emotional vocabulary. Because sometimes you think you're mad, but you're disappointed. You feel betrayed. You're brooding. You know what I'm saying? You don't feel heard, but all we know is anger. So what has happened before we get to the anger? You know, anger is a secondary emotion. It's something that stimulated the anger. How am I feeling? And then what stimulated this? Why is it every time somebody says this word, I get this way? You know, every time somebody says this, then there goes my distorted thinking, which a lot of us have. You know, reality is independent from the person. Okay, reality, there is no true reality. Reality is independent from the individual. So a lot of times we get into these into these battles with people trying to get them to see our side or get them to see what we see, and they don't see it that way. And they're not going to see it because their outlook is filtered through their experiences. So now we're trying to combat something. We're doing this with people, but we need to learn how to let go and say, okay, you know what? I've said what I needed to say, as long as I got it out of me. Now, how it lands on you, okay. And that's fine. But I've vocalized what it is that I needed to say, how I needed to say it. So does anybody else want to say anything else in the space? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I just want to thank you for this. This is awesome. I'm gonna be 100% awesome. I think I had an energy clash at first, and I went to sleep, but it's okay. When I woke up, it was where it needed to be. I said, God showed me why He put me here. I'm dealing with a student right now who is going through quite a bit of healing at the beginning stage, and even though I've been through things, it's been years. So I needed this shock and reminder of how to get them started and how to be able to push them along so that I can help them be successful on this journey to their healing. So I am so grateful. There are never any coincidences, never any mistakes. I thank you so much for that. This reminder of the journey that's about to take place with me being able to help her. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Ashe, yo. Thank you so much. Thank you for being in space, and thank you for contributing to someone else's healing journey and process. That can be challenging. It can be challenging, especially when we all are in a constant state of modification and evolution of ourselves. And so sometimes we have to take a step back and kind of reflect on, all of the different things that contribute to where a person is at in this time of life. And a lot of times we want them to be somewhere else that they ain't. And a lot of times we want people to have tools that we think, oh, they should know this. They should, even with ourselves, saying what we should be doing, I should be. And that creates anxiety and puts an unrealistic expectation on ourselves that we don't deserve to have. And that doesn't mean don't shoot for being a better person or being your better self. It just means give yourself grace, give people grace in the process, man. We're dealing with a lot in this world, we're dealing with a lot in this world. So anybody else have anything they want to share? Anybody else take a second to do any writing? I look forward to us having another one of these sessions where maybe somebody else hosting it or with some really just affirming, because anytime we have like sessions about, we know going into the survivor's ball, this is what I created for that space, because it was a space for healing and releasing and then pouring back into, with some of the other workshops. So I definitely don't want to leave this space like we're all open now, right? We've shared some of our traumas and things like that, but we always have to bring it back around and close it back up and affirm ourselves. So if anyone does not have anything else that they would like to contribute, like I said, I'm going to be sending out some things to in an email about, and I want everybody to really scan that. If you have the packet, There's a QR code on there that talks about positive psychology, and it has some very tangible, tactable thing. We're gonna always have tools. We're always gonna lead with tools. You know, catch it, check it, change it, and stop. Those are the two things that are just, I want everybody, so if you don't leave this space with anything else, know that healing tears are literally healing tears. Okay. I also want to make sure that everybody knows, catch it, check it, change it to redirect negative self-talk. I also want you to know, stop. And that's for you to have emotional regulation when you are in a heightened state of an emotional spiral and you get stressed out on this moment. Stop. And that is, stop is the acronym for stop. Observe what's going on with your body, right? Pause. Okay, and then proceed. So if you don't leave anything else, just catch it, check it, change it, stop, and know the healing tears are healing. So I'm gonna close us out with a poem that I wrote. It's in my poetry book called Some Things Must Be Heard. And I have a workshop with that poem as well. And I did this at the Survivors Ball. So those of you who was at the Survivors Ball will hear it. And I wrote this poem as a reminder to myself and to affirm myself. I listen to it all the time to help to reprogram my subconscious. Remember I said I listen to those mantras to retrain my subconscious, right? Continuously. And we have to prioritize it, just like we prioritize paying bills. We're paying bills, we're making investments, we're investing into ourselves, and we are our most valuable prized possession and most valued commodity. So it's called Reminder. And even if you don't believe this shit, I say it to yourself until you do, okay? All right, because I did. So it says, I'm not broken. Because words are powerful, right? Words are energy exchange and retain into our body. I'm not broken. I'm not broken, I'm whole. I am healed. The wounds have been sealed. The empty rooms have been filled. And the force field that surrounds me grounds me, okay? It bounds me to the best parts of me. It bounds me to the best parts of me, starting with the godly heart in me. I am power. I attract what is mine and devour anything that does not feed my soul. I am bold and I really don't owe any explanation about it. See, I don't doubt me anymore because I have mended the souls. I have settled the scores. I soar through clouds and I only choose to come down to swoop my people up to come with me. And I have the strength to lift them because I'm efficient, effective, and my presence is precious, just like my time. So if I choose to divide mine, then enjoy it. You just got rewarded. See, I adore me. Me amore me. Open the door and you can explore all of me because I am open, knowing and not hoping, believing and not perceiving, and I proceed to be what I need to be to me and through me. I am true to me, truly, authentic, eccentric, eclectic. Expect a jolt of electricity when you step into my vicinity because I rewire environments, sectors, sections. When you walk in, you can feel the blessing, embrace the brazen vibration, and I be braving in preparation for any storm. And my heart be so warm, natural, neutral, calming, soothing, unruly. If you attempt to bring confusion into my serenity, see, I be the replication of divinity. You can't define my energy because I be divine. I be the vine that connects life to earth to life. My sight gives birth, bring visions into fruition. That the distance of this ascension provokes attention, but I don't need to be noticed. Long as the words have been quoted, cited, and take citations, decorate special occasions on stages and on pages, and my phrases leave a lingering fragrance of heaven sent and a dash of magnificence and a splash of elegance. And it is evident that I am necessary because God invented me. So on the contrary or contrast, when I'm down bad, I am up. Every day I rise. Got that Maya Angelou tenacity in my veins. We be one of the same. I came, I saw, and I choose to conquer. And I choose to honor me. And honestly, I wrote this piece to read and reread on the days when I forget the best pieces of me. Reminder. And that is just, that poem is just, I encourage everyone here to create a mantra for themselves. I encourage everyone here to remind themselves on a consistent basis that you are worthy, that you are powerful, and that you deserve healing, and you deserve optimum mental, emotional, and spiritual health, and that you have everything inside of you, all of the tools that you need to be able to live a life full of abundance. Yes. So,
awesome.
Yeah. Oh, you want to say anything?
I do. Do you have any hard copy books there in the house with you?
I do.
You do? Okay. And I randomly picked one number. Anya, do you have T-Spirit's book? Because I want to purchase that to give to you. You do already have her book? Okay. T-Spirit, pick a number 1 through 23. We've had so many people on here. Some people have logged out, but
17.
Is Amber Harris still on here?
No, she logged off and she got the book too.
Oh, she got the book. Okay, choose another one.
12.
12.
Yeah.
She logged out too. They had a situation, so she had to log out. Okay, hold on. You want to keep trying to pick, or you want me to?
You just pick, honey.
Okay. Six, 7, 8. Kimberly, do you have T-Spirit's book?
No, I don't.
Okay, perfect. Are y'all Facebook friends? Can she get your address to be able to sign that and send to you?
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you so much. And I do just want to say, definitely this will not be the last. We want to continue to have these. We would also like some feedback from you all. You have the emails that were sent to you. If you can just, just a few words, especially if we can use your quotes and stuff like that on our website. If you want to mention anything about the Survivors Ball or this workshop today, definitely we would love those quotes to add to our website and everything. And for those who are here in Cincinnati or want to travel, we do have Show Some Love open mic. It's going to be Friday, August 12th, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. That is a Hit the Mic and Regal Rhythms event at the Oasis, where we're located at 5524 Belmont, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45224. So if you're not my Facebook friend, make sure definitely you're T-Spirit's Facebook friend and you're following her and all that. And then follow me or friend me as well, so we can connect and join Survivors Connect.
Join Survivors Connect. At the bottom of the package that I sent out to everybody, there is a like a little survey for the workshop. Then, like most said, please send me any feedback, any areas of improvement, anything like that. Always, because the workshop is not just for me to talk, it's for us to be able to heal from. So anything that can be changed, altered. I do want to identify, somebody left the workshop early on because they were triggered. And when we go into these spaces and we go into these healing spaces and we go into having conversations about this, that may occur, it's never anyone's intention. We want to extend compassion. So I want everybody to just think about sending love and healing to the person that had to leave for that reason. And I always want us, we always are responsible with protecting ourselves and taking care of ourselves. So in any instance, environment, situation, interaction that you feel as if you need to take a moment to step out, I'd encourage you to do so. And then I also want to impart on, it's our responsibility to take care of ourselves. And when you're engaging in this process, like I stated before, you never know when and how a trigger is going to happen, because that's what makes it a trigger. So, but please send healing energies and love to the individual that left in the beginning of the workshop for that reason. And take care of yourself whenever you're going into any space. Always prioritize your health and make sure that you take care of yourself.